Szewczaks. It's me, Maja Szewczak. Oh wow! Welcome to another Idea Sunday and the first Sunday in October. We cannot believe it. Anyways, today we'll be using these pieces for a dollhouse item and also trying some warm grayscale color scheme with a little bit of color but mostly warm grayscale. And besides, I actually remember doing the ballerina box. That sort of failed, but it was okay. I could still display it in the dollhouse the way I wanted. And I've tried. And it was in season 2 and it was 1st of October 2023. However, now it's 6th of October 2024 now. So, ahead of time, I'm already filming it for that day. The release was in October, however, I filmed this in June. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't judge. But anyways, that's what we're doing today. I took the butterfly thing apart. It was hard to do, but I have wire for something else. And the butterfly thing looks like a white net. It's like a net that it's like white tights. That's the fabric that the butterfly had. White tights fabric. So we'll be just working with these. First, I've cut pieces of the swan because I'll be turning it into a goose, because I've decided to do a vase that is goose shaped for this episode. So the head goes here. And now the body. It will not be really posable, because it will be a vase for dolls, really. Unless I'll see about legs. But nothing really else than legs. Trying to get to that criteria of the goose vase. However, for it to be a goose, I'm going to elongate the neck. I think I'll just use this metal gray piece that I've chose for this project. No, that's too long. Better cut it a little bit. Okay, let's see if that's better or not. But if it's not white, I'll work the way of it keeping the warm gray, but yet making the goose white. And I'm trying to trim things so it looks right in the end. So let's now glue it on. It will have to dry. I've added the white fabric from the butterfly onto the transition from the metallic gray and the white on the goose. I think the metal gray will just turn into a dress, and the beak I've colored orange while it was still drying. The goose base for the goose vase has dried. Now the vase needs goose legs, which I'm going to use wire. But the one that came with the butterfly is too thick for the scale. We'll have to use it for something else. Look. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. But that's not the end of the world, since I still have this. However, I'll have to get a button for that in order for this idea to work. This button, and I'm going to thread in the wire for the goose legs. And now we're getting orange beads. The most goose leg beads I can find. I will give it cartoonish and funny looking, elongated long legs that are exaggerated but not so elongated it would look weird. Just try to keep that subtle, so just a little bit of leg length but not too much. So I did it on one leg, and now I'm going to add a sequin to add feet to the legs. Now we're going to glue it onto the back of the goose. Down the back of the goose with the white fabric, the gray, the warm gray clothing, and more of the fabric and beads there. Now it needs to dry, and somehow this looks like an ostrich. But I'll work the dress in a way you can unsee it. I ended up having to shorten the legs because it was starting to look less like a goose and more like an ostrich, and to get it looking like a goose even more, I'm going to color them bright orange. I've looked up images of actual geese, and the goose should have orange legs, because that was what was showing off images of an actual goose, which I did research for artistic purposes, because with art you need to sometimes research things before adding them into your art. So, orange legs it is. They move so funny while I color them orange somehow. And I will not be able to unsee that when rewatching it for the editing. Especially that you will see it, you will not unsee it. I will see it, I will not unsee it, editing and rewatching my own video, not just you watching. Okay, so this dark gray part of the goose that I'm planning to turn into a dress, I'm going to use this black glitter paint with acrylic glue. This black paint is not opaque really, but that's fine because we're only adding a very subtle transparent layer of it. And it's kind of like a cheap children's paint anyways. So that's why there's lots of glue mixed with it. And now we're going to paint the dress on the goose with that. I will make a removable skirt for it, like 2 removable skirts, while the top will not be removable. But yet I want something that can be executed into a vase, as well as having removable features added to it. Okay. I want some flowers on this, so I'm going to use white flowers to keep the dress grayscale as much as possible. I'm going to apply glue here and select flower sequence for the dress, like the top of the dress that the goose will wear. And we're using white flowers. Kind of the reason why I started filming this in June. For October was actually the dress part of the goose. If it was just a goose project, this would have started later. than October, like June, because October is when this video was released in October, but this part in June. The dress took such a long time. And one of the reasons why in June I came up with this crazy idea for the grayscale dress, that this goose would have like a floral grayscale dress for the goose. Actually, the goose vase and everything along with it. And considering that it will kind of be like a tribute to my red apricot ballerina box one that I released 1st of October 2023, and because it's Idea Sunday, I wanted it to be released on the first Sunday in October, which is 6th of October. And besides the crazy amount of flowers for the dress was needed to be used, along with smoothing the texture of it. Took so long. If you were doing it, it would probably be optional. But still, there was a lot of gluey layers in this dress. And I had other ideas Sundays to work on. In June, for July and other months. Now that needs to dry. The reason why I gave myself so long to work on it is because of the precise detailing of the glitter, because they're so tiny that it requires a lot of focus. I will not show on camera due to the amount of precision and focus needed in order for me to do the details that are microscopic on the flowers and the dress. Right now some of them fell off, but I will re-glue them to the dress, like the top of the dress. The skirts will be more simple than the top, with yet it matching. Okay, the goose will sit on this while I do the dress, like the top part of the dress, you know. To be exact, but still. I will do the front of it first. The front. I will not show you due to the length of the video, the focus required, and the storage on my phone being also limited. Besides the focus span and the focus span needed for this. Okay. Trying to fix the flowers a bit. Okay, time to work off camera. After the red glitter glue has dried, I've used some of the warm gray marker, a dark one, to gray the red a bit, so it's like not, I don't want it to be too grayscale to be called colorful, but yet too colorful to be considered grayscale. There needs to be a balance, because I could easily have too grayscale to be colorful and too colorful to be grayscale, which kind of is, but I could justify it for the beak and the legs at least. With the white bead, I've added wire and black tulle fabric that has a bit of green sparkle, and I still have those leftovers. I want to turn this bead into a flower, so I'm going to glue it on. Now it looks like a white tulip, and it's a good thing. However, it needs to dry. Okay, for the Goose vase skirt, I had this lilac organza ribbon. Didn't have that in gray, but that's fine. It's light enough in order for me to get it to be gray. Later with a bit of red, and because she doesn't need the sequins already in there, I'm removing those sequins as much as possible, and there's a bit of stretchy elastic in it, so it's easily put on and removed from the Goose. Just cutting off those loose threads. The skirt doesn't need them. And it ended up looking like this, although this is just the base of what we're doing. I colored the skirt gray and red. The red came out more gray than I was expecting, but I could still see red undertones in certain angles and lighting, which is a good thing, although in my scrapbook, this is what the goose is supposed to look like in the drawing, but it's fine. It's fine. At least I tried. Now I'm going to put detailing on the skirt, avoiding the elastic that's holding it on the goose. But this layer is okay to stitch around it. I double-sided stitched on the flowers, however it's fraying, but that's okay since I have some red gray organza ribbon. I've used a hot pink and added a dark gray to make it a red gray. We're going to stitch it onto the fraying area to fix the problem. I felt like this needed more leaves, so I've used more of the cut up butterfly glitter to add it to the skirt. I didn't add any here, but I've added it scattered all over the skirt and glued it on. Time to let it dry, and then I'm going to make it warm, brown, green gray to match the theme of what I'm making. The leaves on the skirt also got green gray marker on them, and that's how it looks. So that's the goose with the skirt. What else? I did make a flower. There needs to be proof that this is a vase. So how I'm going to prove it? I'm going to stitch the flowers onto a press stud and a press stud on the skirt, so it's removable. So the press stud there would be the best place to put it on the goose, like on the skirt of the goose, because the skirt needs a press stud in order for the flowers to be removable. So I want it to be options. Like the options would be to either have a goose or a vase with this dollhouse items. So that's why I'm doing removable. So now I'm going to close the press stud. And the box that I got is actually very good for YouTube videos. So I'm using it. Now, once that skirt has a press stud, I'm going to put it back onto the goose. I put it back on the goose. Now I need to stitch the press stud for the flowers. Okay, on the flower, and that can be removed and put on very easily. However, I will add more flowers. Out of glue, I made another flower, and it worked. And I've also added it to the press stud that has the other flower. That's the amount of details I wanted to give it. And that's the finished product. So, Szewczaks, what do you think of this goose vase? Please tell me in the comments, and bye, Szewczaks. See you in another video. Bye.